Monte Carlo. It's well known for the glitz, the glamour. It's very much the jewel in the crown of Formula One. But it's also known for the colossal number of shunts and crashes over the years, as drivers old and new grapple with the tightest circuit on the F1 calendar. Using our photo archive at Motorsport Images, we've dug out a few incidents from the past. This is our circuit guide, How Not to Drive at Monaco. Heading down into the main straight, the field will tighten into an almost bottleneck scenario on the run to turn 1. Both Felipe Massa and Jolyon Palmer have failed to stay alert on a street circuit here, managing to crash before even getting to the first corner. In Palmer's infamous case, he lost the car on the slippery, wet white lines, sending him into the barriers before turn 1. That first turn, Sainte Dévote, is the Roman Catholic chapel dedicated to Sainte Dévote, the patron saint of Monaco, and presumably the place where the drivers pray they don't crash embarrassingly. It's now slightly more open than it was before, but we've still seen many notable incidents at this corner, either through misjudging their fellow drivers or the barriers. In 1980, Derek Daly cartwheeled spectacularly here, and Ferrari drivers John Lacey and Gerhard Berger tripped over each other here in 1995. It's also kept more recent names in check, with Lewis Hamilton in 2007 and a certain Max Verstappen, and that's just the tip of the iceberg, isn't it, Pastor? If you make it through there, then you can climb uphill through Beau Rivage, trying not to brush the barriers or your fellow drivers. Button and Barrichello both got caught out here on different occasions by a stray drain cover, a stark reminder that, normally, these are just public roads. The car will go light, going up into Massenet as you go over the crest, which can unsettle the car, and this is where the fun starts. Too brave and you'll clip the inside barrier, or, if you're caught napping, you'll slide outside to the build-up of marbles offline, which will take you straight to an early amber lounge party with a barrier. Next up, Casino Square, the highest part of the track, should be a breeze with modern downforce levels. In the past, it was a place where you could roll the dice, stick the back end out, and just graze the barriers with your rear wheel. Take your chances at your peril, but remember to avoid the bump coming out, hence why you see all of the cars move offline just after the exit. Slowing down for Mirabeau then, the ever-tightening right, and it's so easy to get oh so wrong. Almost everyone has been caught out here by the curbs, spun from feeding power in too early, or turned into a spin by a fellow driver. Nico Rosberg infamously put a strain on an already icy relationship with Lewis Hamilton in 2014 by taking the escape road in Q3 and compromising Hamilton's lap. If you haven't taken to the escape road, then you've earned yourself a one-way trip to the barriers, or, like Christian Albers in 2005, end up blocking the circuit. If you can get through that, it's time to tackle Monaco's famous hairpin. With more names than you can shake a stick at, the Lowe's/Hotel/Fairmont/Station hairpin is the time to wind on full lock. It's do or die here, as you can barely fit two cars side by side, so incidents here are no surprise. Notable moments here have been Hamilton and Massa crunching into each other in 2011, Pedro de la Rosa expertly blocking the track in 2000, and Olivier Panis punting off Eddie Irvine in 1996 on his way to victory. For the next corner, turn 7, Michael Schumacher unceremoniously threw his Ferrari into the barriers in 1996. With 4 classified finishes, what a weird year that was. Portier has had its fair share of unexpected incidents over the years. Ayrton Senna throwing a slam dunk victory away in 1988, Jenson Button tipping Pascal Wehrlein on his side in 2017, and Kimi Räikkönen, after his engine failed in 2006, parked up and walked off to Portier to get his boat. Into the dark sweeping tunnel then, F1's twilight zone, where accidents of the unusual nature happen. Fernando Alonso on the dirty line in 2004 tried to lap Ralf Schumacher's Williams, but ended up hitting the barriers and coming out of the tunnel backwards. That incident caused a safety car, and Juan Pablo Montoya clattered into race leader Michael Schumacher's Ferrari trying to keep his brakes warm, ending each other's chances of victory. If you're unlucky enough to exit the tunnel with less wheels than you entered with, you might even skid all the way down to the chicane, although if you're Schumi in 2004, you'll try and drag it back on 3 wheels. The Nouvelle chicane has always been a source of big accidents, going from the highest speed on the track right down to a short, sharp stop. A bumpy braking zone provides a huge challenge for the balance of the car and can spit you out into the outside barrier without warning. And that's before taking the other drivers into account. Lorenzo Bandini lost his life here in a fiery accident in 1967, and Alberto Ascari got just a little bit damp. More recently, big shunts for Carl Wendlinger, Alex Wurz, Nico Rosberg, Jenson Button and Sergio Perez all put F1 safety to its truest test. Get it right and you're a hero, get it wrong and you've planed into another driver, like Raikkonen into Suttel in 2008 and last year Charles Leclerc crashing into Brendan Hartley. A short blast on the throttle gets you back up to speed towards Tabac, along the harbour front, but whatever you do, don't try and get too brave. Named after the tobacco shop just set back from there, Tabac looks simple, but bites hard if you get it wrong. Hamilton got away with it in 2008, clipping the rear and sustaining a puncture, but others have not been so lucky. In 1984, Martin Brundle shunted really heavily there and tried to take the spare car back out even though he couldn't remember what circuit he was at. In 2005, Ralf Schumacher had a massive shunt which took him about 100 metres further along the track. And in 2013, Pastor Maldonado tried to take half the Tech Pro barriers with him after contact with Max Chilton, blocking the track and red flagging the race. Onto the swimming pool complex, which has always caught people out. Although the walls may have lost some of their menace, the speed has become truly unbelievable through there. Alex Caffey lost it big time, and his car had an unexpected rapid disassembly in 1991. Nico Rosberg's wipeout in 2008 and a multiple car pileup in 2011 are further examples of how getting it wrong can destroy your car. Oh, and Taki Inui once got collected by a safety car in 1995, so that's another hazard that you should probably avoid. The second sequence of the swimming pool also bites, although not as fast, requires just as much precision. Now the inside walls have been removed for sausage curbs, these can easily act as a launch ramp if you're offline. That opposite barrier is a lot closer than it looks, Esteban Ocon and Max Verstappen having learnt lessons like that in the recent past. And if you end up facing the wrong way here, just don't crash it into the barrier when you're trying to spin it round. Ricardo Rosset did that in 1998, and one wonders if he's still haunted by that today. Heading into the final part of this lap, the Rascasse has always been a source of incidents. Michael Schumacher parked his car there to deny Alonso a pole position run in 2006. And also, Jarno Trulli once mounted the Hispania of Karun Chandok in 2010, which could have all been too different. And ex-Simtech driver Mimo Schiattarella's embarrassing attempt to pull off a 180 spin ranks as one of the weirdest moments at the Rascasse. Memorably, it's also the corner where Jules Bianchi valiantly fought past Kamui Kobayashi to claim his and Marusha's first F1 points in 2014. Anthony Nogues is the final corner, an off-camber oddity where drivers like to clamber up the angled curb as they search for grip, almost skimming along the barrier. There's a traffic cone perched on the inside, a guide for drivers to see the apex of the corner. There's not too many incidents here, other than a recent scuffle in last year's F2 round, where Lando Norris pitched Ralph Boschung into the wall. In recent Formula 1 memory, the only driver to take this the wrong way was Jenson Button. Winning in 2009, Button forgot to take the car to the podium ceremony on the main straight and parked in the pits, so had to jog the rest of the circuit. If you can avoid all of those incidents and get through practice, qualifying and 78 racing laps cleanly, you too can master Monte Carlo.